Hello everyone and welcome back to a little bit more Riot Quest. Before we clean away the game, having just done the viewer verdict video, recording another one on the off chance that people do want to see more quite quickly. Otherwise it might be a little bit of a delay before you end up seeing this, but just making it clear that that hasn't gone live yet, so if there's any rules corrections that weren't spotted during editing, they might still be done wrong here. But we're going to be playing on a different map. It's actually slightly wider as a result of having this no man's land between the two ships that it's set on, where there's no hexes, they're impassable terrain. There's 3 planks that link the two ships, and the teleporters are all very clustered together. Teleporters 1, 2 and 3 clustered together in a Triforce shape over there, and 3, 4, 4, 5 and 6 are in the same area on the other ship. The treasure tokens are all over the place, so they're very spread out, but it does mean there'll be a lot more fighting, I think, on this map because the teleports are so close to each other, unless one team happens to spawn on one ship and the other team on the other one. I guess we'll see. Speaking of which, it is going to be the same two sides. It's kind of a rematch to see if the one that didn't win last time, to not spoil anything, has a better go of it on this map. But we'll look at the specifics and go over the characters. We're not going to spend time talking about the rules, we're just going to get into playing this time, because it's also going to be a little experiment for how quick it is without all the explanations that were last time. But go check out that viewer verdict video on Riot Quest if you want to be taken through how the game flows and the various gameplay points you should pay attention to as we play. So we have the starter box team, which is what we're still just going to call it here. Starting at top left, that is Dez with her gigantic supercharged bazooka. Next to her in blue is Sir Dreyfus. At the back in green is Eris. At the front left is Gubbin, who I kept on calling Gubbins last time. I'm probably still going to interchange that because I think Gubbins sounds better than Gubbin. And then we have Balthazar Bamfist, who didn't get much of a showing last time. He came on a bit late and didn't really get a chance to show off anything. So that might change this time, I guess we'll see. And then the team that's just a bunch of heroes thrown together, or I guess the starter box is that as well. The Misfits, Mismatches, whatever you want to call them, here they are again, starting at the back left. That is Bumbles the Bear, and then next to him, the big robot, is Destructotron 3000. Bottom left is the Wolf with no name. We have Weird Wendell in the middle, who didn't get to do anything last time. And then we have the Wastelander, who I kept on calling the Wanderer, I think. It's Wastelander, but we'll try and get it right this time. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. So before heroes start spawning in to the battlefield, we've got the 2 bounties and treasure card to cover. However, I did forget to show off both sides Riot Quest, Riot Gear cards rather. Here is the Misfits Riot Gear, just at a glance. If they get equipped, we'll talk more about what they do. And for the starter box set, their Riot Gear is these cards. 1 for each character that you bring, up to a maximum of the 10 you can bring. So, before anyone starts spawning in, although the roll for priority has already been done, and it is the starter box who will be spawning a hero in first. Where is the treasure, and what type of treasure is it? It's a buried chest. We saw this last time, and scouts can read this one for free. So where is the buried chest spawning? It's spawning on treasure, very top left of the map up there. So people who spawn at teleporter 1, 2 or 3 will be able to get pretty close to the buried chest turn 1. First bounty card, chance to score points. I'm out! If a hero equipped with Riot Gear is evacuated, that hero's controlling player claims this bounty. They happen one at a time, so 2 players cannot claim this simultaneously. Okay, so to evacuate they have to get to the center. It's not actually a mechanical thing, it's just a black flag on this map, but get there with Riot Gear and choose to evacuate at the end of the round for 1 point. The other one is Smash and Snatch. If a hero knocks out an enemy and picks up the loot token that enemy left behind in the same turn, that hero's controlling player claims this bounty. Also only worth 1, but that does encourage violence. So we'll get all the characters spawned in, and then we'll do a little shaky cam, hover over the map and show you where they all ended up. So 4 heroes for each side are now spawned in, and the starter box kind of did better with positioning, at least based on where the treasure chest is, with Dez, Balthazar Bamfist and Sir Dreyfus all spawning relatively close by to it. Weird Wendell came out of teleporter 2 for the Misfits, and Bumbles came out of teleporter 3. Over here, Destructotron 3000 came out of number 4, the Wolf with no name came out of number 5, and then for the starter box, Eris is down here or Iris, sorry, is by herself down here, who also popped out of objective, or teleporter rather, number 5. So she's in danger from getting ganked. The Wastelander is not on the table for the Misfits, and Gubbin is not on the table for the starter box, both green hero types. So that's it. With that, we're ready to jump into the first turn. First 1 to 7 points wins. Let's see what happens. So Dez activated first for the starter box, spending 1 action die to do a move to get adjacent to where the treasure chest spawned. Spent another die to raid it and managed to roll a single success, which, if we check the card here just as a reminder, pays out. You gain 3 loot tokens, then you can choose to gain an additional 2 or remove all damage from a model in your crew. So obviously 2 more additional loot was picked for a total of 5, 3 of which were then immediately spent to give the Dez themed Riot Gear card bang rounds to her. So she gets +1 power die on her ranged attacks, and she starts firing, pushing them back with the force of the blasts. So it's very fitting that she got that, because that is her upgrade. Her turn is not done yet though, and using that upgrade, she's now going to shoot a bazooka at Weird Wendell, I think. So we're going to go resolve that and then be back. The treasure chest will not, or new treasure chest rather, will not spawn until the turn is handed over. Well, because she was within 2 spaces of Weird Wendell, she was actually rolling 1 less boost die, that's the blue dice. So she was only rolling 2 instead of 3, along with the 1 action dice spent, 1 red die, and then an extra red die from that bang round upgrade she just gave herself. 4 total successes not only means that she got through his 3 defense, but she equaled his second defense number, which is 4. So that means she did super damage for a total of 2 of his 3 health. And the bang rounds also push back up to 2 squares or hexes, as long as the target remains further away from her afterwards. So Weird Wendell is now pushed away, and he's very close to death, so he might want to move. That is it for Dez though. They've still got 3 unspent action dice for someone else to use, but it's over to the Misfits now. And of course, first things first, new turn, new treasure chest. It's a mystic chest, purple. So that means Weird Wendell wants to touch this, and Bamfist. So, okay, and there's the rewards you can get depending on the success once you raid it, but they can raid it for free. They don't need to spend an action. Where is the mystic chest spawning? That is a 5. Oh, it landed next to teleporter 5. That's no good. Where is treasure token number 5? It's right down here where there's no one really nearby. We'll have to come down here where the shark is. The shark is trying to eat it currently. The only accessible hexes to it are these 3 here. There's none round this side. So someone actually, is that full hex? It kind of looks like it. I think it is. It looks like it is. So yeah, that hex, or that hex, somebody has to get to be able to raid that chest. It was Weird Wendell who activated, but instead of immediately moving, he actually has range 4 on his flung gremlin. He is just launching gremlins from his slingshot attack, and he did it into Dez because normally it is just the action die plus 2 boost dice, but if he's attacking someone who has Riot Gear equipped, he gets 2 power dice thrown in. So not only did he hit her, he surpassed her second defense number. She's a 3/6. So he did super damage, 2 damage to Dez, meaning Dez is also on 1 health remaining. So he gave as good as he got from her there. And the second action die was then spent that he is doing a movement action in the general direction of the chest. So that would be 1, 2, 3. Oh, he can't stand on the crabs because that would be a double move because it's dangerous terrain, because crabs are dangerous. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. He would be next to Bumbles, which is actually good for him because that means Bumbles gives him cover, so it puts him up to defense 4/5. So that concluded Weird Wendell's turn. Passed back over to the starter box side. No treasure chests needing spawn, no bounties. Sir Drife is activated with up to 3 action dice available to him, and he spent all of them. He spent 1 on his special action called Leap. It's a method for him to traverse hexes occupied by the enemy. Normally you can't just walk through people. I think Gubbin has a passive that allows him to do it because he's so small, but most of the time you can't just do that. It lets him move 2 hexes, so he leapt right here and then spent the second of 3 action dice on a move action to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That got him adjacent to the chest down here. He can't loot it for free though, so he spent the third and final action die to rig the chest. He got 1 hit marker. If you just grab the card here, that means he gains 4 loot tokens. He can look at the top card of the bounty deck, either return that card to the top of the deck or place it on the bottom. It sounded fun, so it is staying on top, and then 4 of that loot, which is how much that gained plus 1. Oh no, he gained 4 from it actually, is being spent on giving him the Shard of Rathok. This hero gains +1 power die on its melee attacks. This hero also gains the charge ability and the fighter class in addition to its original class. So he counts as a blue hero type and a red hero type. He gets +1 power die when he's attacking in melee, which is already pretty strong for him at 4 blue dice. And if he does a movement action in his turn, it also makes him stronger with +1 power die, because the red guys are all about damage. So he's wearing that now, making him very scary, but that is their turn 1 completely done. It is back over to the Misfits, who still have 4 action dice. They don't need to spend it all on one person, they could split it across a few. Let's see. First things first, a new treasure chest, Mechano chest. We didn't see this last time. Guards can raid this, so that's Bumbles and Sir Dreyfus. Okay, there's a potential to look at the bounty deck again. Alright, so where is this Mechano chest pointing, or spawning rather? Treasure token number 6. Oh, that is all the way down in the other corner of the table. We'll have to come down here to see it. There it is. It's on an actual treasure chest, so that fits. It means Iris is the closest person to it, so it works in the starter team's favour. But that doesn't score them points towards winning. Well, first to use some of those dice was Destructron 3000, using one of them to move, first of all, to run action, to use the correct term. He can move up to 5 hexes. He did so to get to the far side of Eris, where you can see him down here. Then spent another action die to do his Electro Pummelers. Range 3 up to 1 blue die, 1 red die, unless he's point blank, in which case he gets to throw in a couple of extra red. Now that said, the white and the blue die didn't really come up with anything, so he only got 4, but that is enough that he hits her. Iris is a 4/5 model. Just 1 damage, but she has 2 health left. And the starter box side has passed, so it sticks with them, but Destructron is not doing anything else. They've still got 2 dice on someone else to spend. It was the Wolf with no name who used those 2 dice. Using the first to move over here, he has a role called Pathfinder, which just means he can move through cover hexes without having to pay the extra for each space moved. So he's in a cover hex here, buffs his defense up to 4/6. But the important part is he then shot his long rifle up to range 4, 1 blue die, 2 red die, plus the action die spent to do it. But if he's hitting someone who's already wounded, he gets an extra red die thrown in. Was hoping to get that super damage, because if he got super damage on Iris, it would have killed her. He only managed to get the 4 though, and as a result she took her 2nd point of damage, and she'll be going into the next turn with 1 health remaining. That's all their action dice spent though, which means we go into the cleanup. There isn't really anything to clean up, so we'll probably just go to the top of the next round and see who is going first. Well, the Misfits are probably going to get their chance to try and finish off Iris, because they have won the priority role, so they'll be picking someone to go first in turn 2. However, just to make it clear, it's during the end phase of the turn that if anyone had riot gear, or were just standing here in general, they could choose to evacuate and leave the battlefield. That's how you're going to score one of the bounties in play, but can't do that yet, so it just stays in play, nothing to cover. If Sir Dreyfus or Des, or no, that's it, they're the only ones who have something equipped currently. If they get over there and are able to safely evacuate, they'll score that card. But either way, into turn 2, let's see what happens. Well, of course, to get the second turn started, Destructron 3000 had to try and finish what he started, and he couldn't have rolled that the first turn. He would have killed her. Well, the Wolf with no name would have killed her, but he definitely would have set her up for death. That's super damage, so Iris takes 2 damage, she had 1 left. So she is out of there. Come around this side of the camera, because that's where the scrap cards are. So she does give up a scrap card, meaning that the Misfits have scored their first of the 7 points required to win. She would drop loot. It's immediately getting picked up though, because the second action die is being spent by Destructron to move 1 to pick it up, and then he's going to go over here with the chest, which we'll handle in a second. But because he killed someone and then looted the loot they left behind, that means Smash and Snatch has also scored for them. If a hero knocks out an enemy and picks up the loot token that the enemy left behind in the same game turn, he did indeed, then that scores for 1. So that's them actually up to 2 of the 7 they require. And to finish off Destructron 3000's activations, he spent an additional dice, that's 3 of the 6 gone, to rig this chest, and he did get a hit marker. They've been pretty consistent. So for the Mechano chest, that is again 4 loot, and then look at the top card of the bounty deck. They chose to keep the same card in play because it sounds fun. And then that means in total, with the loot he picked up, they had 4, and they're spending all of it across 2 bits of riot gear. I think you're allowed to equip 2 bits in the same turn. You can't give them to the same person, but Hyper Spring Boots are being given to the Wolf with no name. Before you do a run action, you roll 2 power dice, you gain +1 speed for each strike, but 1 damage for each miss. There's only 1 miss on a power die, so it would be catastrophic if 2 were rolled. Let's wait and see and watch it happen in about 2 minutes' time. The wrist spring holster is being given to Weird Wendell. When this hero is targeted by an enemy range attack, before the attack roll a power die. If you do, the attacking person suffers damage equal to the number of strikes. Just to try and do a bit of damage on his way out if someone tries to take him out of range. I don't like how this looks like the gun is on the inside of the wrist mounted thing. It isn't. Like, if you look at it long enough you can see that it isn't, but it looks like it is. It's very confusing. But either way, that's Destructron 3000's turn done. 3 dice left for them to spend, but over to the Starbox team. That is, of course, after we resolve a new treasure card and a new bounty card. Let's do treasure first, because it'll be easier. It's another puzzle chest, so Weird Wendell and Bamfist want to get to that one. Where is it spawning? D6 is always over here. It's spawning at number 1. So that's the puzzle chests, which is that one. Treasure chest, oh, it's right next to Dez. And Bamfist is nearby as well, though he'd have to spend 2. That's up at the top left of the table. And the bounty card is Mayhem Manifest. Place a gremlin token on a random spawn gate. At the end of each turn, place the gremlin on a random spawn gate. Then discard riot gear equipped to any hero adjacent to the gremlin. If a hero adjacent to the gremlin rigs it, they can banish it, and it's worth 2. Heroes equipped with riot gear get to do the bonus power die for trying to do it, because they don't want them to destroy their stuff. So which spawn gate is the gremlin spawning at? Spawn gate number 4, which the wolf with no name is next to. If we just pull back a little bit, is up here. I presume there's a gremlin token. Oh, yep, definitely. So there's a gremlin at teleport gate number 4, but at the end of every turn it moves to a different one, and if there's anyone adjacent, then the riot gear gets removed. However, well, it's the starter team's turn. There is no one for them anywhere close. They've got no one on this ship, in fact. So they are not going to be able to do anything with that one this turn. So the treasure chest is actually safe for now, because none of the Misfits team can get close to it. So Sir Drife is activated, spent an action die to do leap again, 2 hexes to where you can see him, then spent another hex to engage with his ranged attack, which is electrical bolt, into Weird Wendell to try and kill him, which means the wrist spring holster was used, and 1 damage got dealt to Sir Dreyfus as a result. He would normally roll 2 blue dice for his ranged attack, however Weird Wendell's passive kicked in. He lost 1, which means it was very unlikely he was going to get hit through. He just needed a double. A double and a single would have been enough. But sadly, nothing done there. And then a 3rd action dice has been spent to do a move action, and he is moving up here for obvious reasons. Although he is wearing good riot gear, so it would be a shame to lose him for a turn. But he can always come back. But for now at least, he is off the table. But did forget, when the turn began, because they didn't have 4 heroes on the table, Gubbin comes in automatically because he's not in the cooler. Speaking of which, Iris should be in the cooler, not on her card, because she needs to recover at the end of the round. So Gubbin is coming in, and let's see if it's somewhere useful. He is coming in at teleporter number 2, so at least he's not getting hit by the gremlin. But let's put him at this side there. So he's actually up in the top left there. Their turn is now over. They're not doing anything else with Sir Dreyfus. They still have 3 dice left to use, but that does mean at this point it's the end of their turn, so the gremlin is moving. Let's just double check that. Random spawn gate, yep. Place a gremlin token on a random spawn gate. At the end of each turn, place the gremlin on a random spawn gate. Yep, so he's moving again. Where is he moving? He's moving to spawn gate number 1. Bamfist is there. I presume he would have to teleport next. Oh, it's just adjacent to the teleporter, isn't it? Bamfist does not have any riot gear equipped, thankfully. So he's not losing anything, but the gremlin is now bouncing around in the top left here. Had he have been equipped with any, though, we would have just lost it, which would have been disastrous. Well, Bumbles the bear activated because he's the only one who could get close enough to the teleporter. He spent 1 action die for movement. He has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, because he went through cover hex there. And then he spent a 2nd action die to rig to attempt to get rid of the Mayhem Manifest. Unfortunately, only rolling 1 of the 3 strikes needed. Now he has 1 action die left. He's going to use that to attack Bamfist, so we'll roll that out and be back. And with that rolled out, managed to get 4 successes. Bamfist is a 3/5 model, so does take damage, but just the 1 point of damage. He has 2 health left, and that is the Misfits round done. They have to pass now, all their dice are gone. The starter box though still has 3, however, that gremlin is teleporting. Where is he teleporting? He is teleporting to teleporter number 4, which is back where he was. So there's no one adjacent, but he's on the other side of the table again, which means, right over there, which means there's no one for the starter box over there that can get it. Even if Sir Dreyfus wanted to move from the hex he's on, he couldn't reach him, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. If he did a leap he would, but he can't. He's already done a run and a leap this turn. So 2 of those action dice were spent by Gubbin. The first one to do a move action to where you can see him, the second to initiate a ranged attack into Weird Wendell over here, meaning the wrist spring holster kicked in again. So poor Gubbin took 1 shot in him from a Derringer, I guess, before he threw too many explosives at Wendell and explodinated him for the last point of health he had, giving up a scrap card. So that's actually the first victory point for the starter box side. Weird Wendell goes to the cooler and loot gets left behind where he was. That also means his riot gear is discarded / destroyed. They still have 1 die left, so they're actually going to activate someone else, but that does count as the end of a turn and start of a new one, I think, because you have turns and rounds. So that means the gremlin is moving. He's going between 1 and 4. So he's back where Bumbles and Bamfist are, but neither of them have riot gear. And that caused a change of plans. Bamfist was originally going to spend that last action die to walk adjacent to the treasure chest and then raid it for free because he's a specialist. Instead though, he spent it to just try and rig the gremlin that's been teleporting between teleporters 1 and 4. He actually did get enough that the gremlin is gone, and that means Mayhem Manifest scores for 2 for them. So they're actually now taking the lead. It's 3 playing 2. But that's both sides passed now. So we'll go into the end phase and see if anyone comes out of the cooler. So at the end of the second turn, there's actually more to cover than just that, although here is the rolls for the cooler. Weird Wendell is staying in the cooler. As soon as the next round starts, though, the Wastelander can come on for free at a randomized teleporter because they'll have less than 4 heroes. Iris does return from the cooler. She rolled a success on the die. Doesn't mean she comes on the table, though they've already got 4 because Gubbin took her place. However, in the end of the phase of the turn, Sir Dreyfus is choosing to evacuate. So he is out of there. He teleports back onto the bench. He could immediately come back at the top of turn 3, or Iris could come in then. More importantly though, that scores I'm out, because he had riot gear equipped. If a hero equipped with riot gear is evacuated, that hero's player controls this, yep, and there was nothing to contest. So they're actually up to 4 of the 7 required to win as we go into the next round. I'm not sure if the riot gear he's equipped with breaks when he goes back into the stock. Need to double check that. Same with the damage actually, because he's leaving with 1 damage. So we'll look into that and then be back. So at the start of turn 3, answers have been found. Unfortunately did something wrong. As part of the evacuation check, it has to be an undamaged hero. So that's how they handle damage. So Sir Dreyfus technically shouldn't have been evacuated, but that also means he would have done different things during his turn had that stipulation been known. So we're going to play on that he still did it, even though he shouldn't have been able to do it, because the 2 conditions are undamaged and adjacent or in the central hex of the map. So we're still going to play that was scored. It does destroy riot gear equipped, so that really good Shard of Wrathhawk is discarded. There are heroes or cards or methods, I think one of the treasure chest types actually does, you can bring back discarded riot gear that way, but for now that is just completely gone. Roll's already been done. Starter box side is going first. However, we have 2 new bounties to put into play and 2 heroes to spawn in. The Wastelander is coming in for the Misfits at teleporter number 3, and the other side could technically bring back Sir Dreyfus immediately. They're going to bring back Iris, whatever. Oh, she's also at 3. Well, is she better at ranged? She's better at ranged. So they're both in the bottom left, but the more important part is how are the scoring points this round. Starting with armor is stupid. If a hero rolls 7 or more strikes when attacking an enemy, that hero, wow, okay, so that needs a real big hit. 7 or more strikes. I guess super strikes count as 2, so it's not as terrible, but target acquired. Place a target token on the center space of the arena map, and the target can be picked up. A hero holding the target suffers -2 defense. A hero holding the target while adjacent to an enemy can rig it to plant it on that enemy. That enemy's controlling player claims this bounty. Oh, it's worth -1. Oh. Interesting. Okay. Very intriguing. So there's a target icon right smack dab in the middle of the map, and you can rig to pick it up. Yes, target can be picked up. I presume you do a rig. It doesn't actually say rig, but presumably yes. Alright, so you're very damageable while holding it, but you can put it on an enemy and then they get -1 victory point. Interesting. Okay, with that, let's get started with round 3. Well, there's no beating around the bush. At the top of turn 3, Des activated and immediately wanted to claim that armor is stupid bounty by going after Bumble. So unfortunately it has a rule called Aw. So you can't ever spend more than 1 action die. Originally she was going to spend most of them just to try and guarantee the hit. But such as it is, 1 action die, 3 of the blue dice, that's related to something else we'll talk about in a second. 3 blue dice, 1 red die normally, plus an extra 1 for the bang rounds. And she got 2, 4, 6, 8. So for 1, armor is stupid, got claimed, or succeeded there for 1, so that is their 5th, I believe, victory point. That is 2 damage to Bumbles, who's a 3/6 enemy of her. So the poor bear has 2 health left as well. And if we just come down here a bit, the bang rounds also shove him away for 2. So he's been pushed away from the action a little bit down here in the corner. She then spent an action die to raid the chest, which is what this blue die was for. Got nothing, wanted to get a strike, so of course it didn't happen, because then that good bit of riot gear could have been brought out of the discard pile. Such as it is, it's just 3 loot tokens and the chest is gone. And I think that's it for her turn. She doesn't really want to move near any enemies because she's 1 hit away from death. So yeah, I think at that point they'll say they're done for now. 4 dice left to spend with someone else after the Misfits get a turn. But first we have a new bounty and treasure card to put into play. It's an indestructible chest, so there's no fighters on the table, but oh wait, no, yeah, Dreyfus isn't on the table and doesn't count as a fighter anymore. So no one's going to get a bonus for opening this one. Where is it spawning? It's spawning at treasure number 1. It's right back at Des. That's uncanny how that keeps happening, so that's right behind her. But the other new way to score, Wreck Face. Well, you'd hope so. If a hero raids a treasure chest and causes super damage to an enemy during the same... Oh yeah, we saw this last time. Okay, so raid a treasure chest and cause super damage. If only that was in play when Des took her turn. Although if she lives this round, she could probably do it again. The Wastelander activated, spending 1 action die to do a move. He's got move 5. Incidentally, you don't have to spend to rig this, you just have to stand on it. So he's not standing on it yet, so he's not picked up the target acquired. He stopped here in order to feloniously assault Gubbin, spending 2 action dice on an attack, and his basic mech katana gets 3 blue, 1 red, and he did super damage. That is 2, 4, 6, 7. Gubbin is a 5/6. It's pretty good defense, but low health. He's only got 2. Normal damage would have been enough. So he gets absolutely splatted and goes into the cooler, leaving behind a bit of loot where his health once was, and giving up a scrap card worth 1 point. So that is them up to the 3 of the 7 points required. He's done a move, he's done an attack, he can't do a rig. Sadly, if the treasure chest was nearby and he rigged it as well, he would have scored in the wreck face. Didn't manage it though, so with 3 action dice left, they're passing it over to the other side. And the first thing that's happening for the other side is Sir Dreyfus is coming in, because he's not in the cooler, so he can just come in because they don't have 4 characters on the map. And he can come in at number 5, but there's an absolutely fantastic opportunity for them to ruin the Wastelander's day by moving on to the target and immediately rigging him. That is very, very bad luck for the Misfits. Couldn't pass up that opportunity. 1 action die to move Sir Dreyfus onto the weak point thing the target acquired. Paid another action die to rig it onto the Wastelander, rolling 3 successes and thus technically scoring target acquired, but you actually give it to the opponent because it's worth -1, so they're now back down to 2. He then spent their last action die, no sorry, they have 1 left after that. He spent the 3rd action die on doing an attack with the Stormlance into the Wastelander, only getting 3 total successes. The Wastelander is a 4/5, so no damage, but good enough, and they have 1 die left to play with when it comes back around to them, because at this point they're passing it back. A new way to score, or indeed deduce points, has come into play, a new bounty card. It is Caution Contents Hungry. Place a mysterious box token on the center space of the arena map. The mysterious box can be picked up. I guess that means Sir Dreyfus is now just holding it. because he's in the central square, or hex. A hero holding the mysterious box can rig it to subdue the beast within. If successful, that hero's controlling player claims its bounty. If unsuccessful, roll 2 power dice. The hero suffers damage equal to the number of strikes rolled, but heroes adjacent to a damaged enemy get an extra power die when attempting. Oh, he didn't land any damage on the Wastelander. Okay, well, I guess it's immediately in his inventory. We'll just have it on the table to remember. But yeah, I guess Sir Dreyfus is holding a wooden box filled with ravenous goblins. The wolf with no name used up the last 3 action dice for the Misfits, having to move 1 square, or 1 hex, sorry, to get within range 4 of Sir Dreyfus, wanting to do damage to him so that Sir Dreyfus hopefully just kills himself when he tries to disarm the hungry box. Then he spent the last 2 action dice, because there wasn't really anything they could do with just 1 if he'd left 1 left over, to do his sniper attack. It's not a sniper, what's it called? The long rifle. But didn't roll that great. He did manage to beat the minimum required though to do damage to Sir Dreyfus. He's a 3/6 model, so that's 1 damage to him out of his 3 health. So if he accidentally does 2 damage to himself with the box, then he's in for a spot of bother. He can't do it this turn though because he's already activated, so yeah, he would have to do it next turn. But that's them passing now. It's back over to the starter box team, who have 1 die left to do something. They were going to just raid the chest with Dez, but she's already activated, so can't. Iris activated and instead just did a ranged attack with the action die. She throws in 3. If it's at an enemy within 2 of her, they're -1 defense, which means Bumbles was 2/5 instead of 3/6, which is just as well because she only got the 3. Although I guess even without the minus, that still would have got through. It does just 1 basic damage more, leaving the adorable bear on 1 health remaining, and that does take us to the end of the round. So as we prepare to go into turn 4, it is the Misfit team that is going to be going first. Weird Wendell came out of the cooler thanks to that double strike roll on one of the action dice, so he can come back on if needed as the round progresses. Gubbin, unfortunately, is staying in the cooler thanks to that blank roll, so they don't have anyone spare on the other side. 2 bounties in play, treasure in play as said, so we can just go straight into it. So turn 4 got started with the Misfit team going for a Hail Mary of a play. The Wastelander activated and used 3 action dice to strike into Sir Dreyfus, wanting to get super damage, because if he had succeeded, for landing a hit, he gets to move 2 hexes for free. As long as it's a hit, it doesn't need super damage, right? This model hits a target, he can move up to 3 spaces in fact. So that plus a normal move would have got him up to the chest in the top left of your screen, where he could then have raided it and scored Wreck Face +1 for killing Dreyfus if he'd gotten super damage. It would have been a perfect turn that would have put them 1 away from winning. The wolf with no name could have then just spent their last 2 dice to walk onto the crate left behind and try and open it. And if he succeeded, they would have just got the win right there. It would have been an amazing play. Such as it is, though, he only did standard damage. He needed to beat 6, or equal, or beat 6 rather, to get through Sir Dreyfus' defense. He still landed a successful hit. Sir Dreyfus has 1 health left. He gets 3 free movement, which he's using go 1 to pick up this for their side. And then 2, 3. Sorry, 2, 3. Onto cover. Makes more sense to go. Actually, no, the cover would need a movement. Never mind. He'll just have to stand adjacent to it then. Right there, because he would need an extra movement point to move onto the cover. So, unfortunately, they've squandered their chance there. If one of those was super damage, because that would have mean 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that would have been enough to get the hit through and meet the criteria for Wreck Face. He went all in on it with as many dice as he could and couldn't quite do it. Well, I bet you thought they'd be activating Sir Dreyfus to try and get rid of that box, but the risk of him just outright dying to it is too high, so they instead went for the other option they had, which was Dez. She spent 1 to raid the treasure chest, rolling a blank on it, so just getting 3 blue tokens and it going away. She spent another 1 to move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 into cover here, which put Bumbles back in range. She would have sunk every action die they had left into it to try and make sure it happened, but his all rule means you can only ever spend 1. She's getting that extra red die from the upgrade, the bang rounds on her bazooka. Everything else is just natural, and she spiked 2, 4, 6, 8, beating the defense 3/6 of Bumbles, dealing super damage, meaning he takes 2 damage. He had 1 health left anyway, so he goes into the cooler. Scrap for taking him out, which is worth 1. And I think is that enough for them to win on their own? 2, 4, 5. No, that would take them to 6. However, they actually do win because Wreck Face scores. If a hero raids the treasure chest and causes super damage, which she just did, score this for 2. So that actually takes them, if we look at their finishing hand here, Wreck Face for 2, Scrap 3, Armour is Stupid 4, I'm Out 5, Mayhem 6, 7, and the other Scrap from a kill for 8. So the starter box takes it once again, just like that. So there's an alternative universe out there where the Wastelander scored Wreckface, where he killed Dreyfus, ran up with his free movement plus an actual move, raided the chest up there, scored Wreckface plus 1 for killing Dreyfus. That would put them at 3, 4, 5, 6, back down to 5 because of target acquired. But Dreyfus would be dead, so the box was sitting there. No one on the starter box's side would be able to reach it that turn. Iris is the fastest one and she can't do it. Wolf with no name, especially thanks to his Hyperspring boots if he chose to use them, although he wouldn't need to, would walk onto there. All he needed to do was rig it, and if he rigged it, that would have scored them Caution, Contents Hungry, and they would have won. And he would have done it too. So it was like, if in an alternative universe, if the Wastelander had just managed to get Dreyfus with super damage, it would have went in their way just like that. It all came down to Wastelander's turn, Dez's turn. So it's so swingy. Like, it can just, at the end of the game, it can just come out at you all of a sudden, just like that. With all those, so it depends on the random bounties, and that was fun. Very interesting map. Didn't really get to use the planks that much, to be honest. With most of the fighting happening on the left of the table, thanks to Destructotron kind of locking down the right side of the table. He is very scary when he is adjacent to targets, getting to roll the most consistent die. So hopefully that was fun to watch and not too complicated. I love how colourful the maps are. Maybe a bit too colourful, but I do enjoy how colourful the maps are compared to the normal muted tones of most of the games we cover here. So it's fun, it's quick, or it feels quicker than it actually is, I think, because I think the first video ended up being like an hour. It didn't feel like that recording it, trust me. But hopefully it was well received in the viewer verdict. If not, then we'll just see this once in a while. It'll give me time to get more heroes painted up for it if it wasn't that popular. But I could definitely see this coming back now and then. It's fun, it's good. It's such a shame that it launched during the pandemic. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to show your support for the channel if you can, including becoming a channel member if you have extra to spare. Or you can check out the channel sponsor via the affiliated link and I'll get compensated if you buy anything via that. And they do have a lot of Riot Quest. This very map and the last one were from them before I got their sponsorship, just to be clear. Bought from them directly with my own money. Bought some characters as well and had absolutely no problems. In fact, I think Destructotron 3000 and the Wolf with No Name were the two that I bought. So that was before they were a sponsor. They still have Riot Quest stuff. It's still being produced, just to be clear. It's not like totally dead, but it never got enough pace because of the time at which it launched. Anyway, you can go look into the history of it yourself if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. It's time for now.